At first, I just wanted to bring Jo-Anne Oliveri on because she had published a book about property management that became like a business development super advantage for her. And she published it in like 2014 when it was way harder to publish your own book. And I think that you should really think about marketing yourself that way. But after talking to Jo-Anne, there's just so much more to her story. Just like an incredible story of overcoming tough situations. She had a property management company that she's done really well in. She is a coach, and now she's even evolved into being a software provider, right? Like, these are the types of people. Jo-Anne is a frame breaker, right? She is not just doing the usual thing. She's publishing books. She's evolving beyond just property management into being a software provider, into being a coach, developing multiple sources of income. And I can't wait for you to get to know her. Enjoy this conversation with Jo-Anne Oliveri. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. So we're here at Vendoroo Live, right? I just saw you speak yesterday.
Yes.
You're a part of this thing, Joe. You know, this podcast is really about people doing things differently and succeeding in that way. And something that I realized is that you showed up here with a book that you published. That is not something most property managers do. Tell me about how you use this book to differentiate yourself. Like, what is the value of putting out a book on property management, and how's that affected your business?
Yeah, I think it helped to elevate people seeing me as someone who, did know what I was talking about, but it was more like I was passionate enough to actually sit down and write a book, because it's not always easy to write a book.
Yeah.
It does take time, and if you're not a writer, then, all you're using is your knowledge and your experience and situations that have happened over the years and years in property management, and putting it all into words and hoping that, someone would like to read it.
How? Right? You did this, you said you wrote this in like 2012, 2014?
Yes, I did.
So this is pre-ChatGPT.
Yes.
You somehow found the time to write a book while running your property management company?
Yes, while running my coaching business,
Your
actually.
coaching business,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So I started my coaching business in 2010.
Uh-huh.
And in those couple of years, and I'm going to share a bit about my story tomorrow, but when I launched my business, just after launching my business, 5 days after launching, I lost my son. So I went through a process of trying to find a reason to keep going. And it was property management that was like, it was a burning passion and desire inside of me that I had to be part of the change. I had an enormous passion for property management and enormous frustration at the same time. And I thought, I can't give up now. I've been in the industry for 15 years, learning my craft, learning my skill, and I left with the goal of making a difference in the industry, helping people to love it like I love property management, not to see it as a grudge or, something that's second to sales. I think we're well above sales. And I just, in my pathway back to wanting to live life and continuing with my passion for teaching and guiding in property management, a book was born.
Yeah.
And the book was born in a way that I never would have thought. So the book is as a result of my brother, and I shared this with you last night. My brother, who's he's a well-educated man, he's a veterinary surgeon. He had a rental property and he kept it vacant for 4 years. And I said, why are you keeping your property vacant for 4 years? You should be earning money. Yeah. And he said, I'm just so frustrated with dealing with property managers. I'm a busy man. Yeah. I'm in surgery. I just don't want to deal with all the rubbish that goes on, with my property. So it's far easier for me to leave it vacant than to try and work with property managers. And I thought, how sad. And, I asked him what's gone wrong with the property managers, and he shared some of his stories. And I said, you need to know what to ask them when you're finding your property manager. And he just said, can you help me with that? And I said, yeah, sure. I'll write the sort of questions that you can ask, prospective property manager, and the sort of responses you want, because we don't want just a, yeah, we can do that. So he needed to know what their response should be as well.
Yeah.
And I wrote it. I wrote 40 questions for him.
Yeah.
And when we finished, when I kind of taught him on what to do, he's like, you should write a book on this.
Yeah.
And so my book became more about how do owners deal with property managers. But that was my way of helping the industry to rise up to the level of what property owners were expecting as well, when they asked these questions. So it was a kind of like a roundabout way of teaching the industry. It's like, you've got to serve these clients and give them what they expect.
So much to unpack in that story, Jo. So, all right. First of all, I guess I'm just going to kind of like level set here, because I want to break down a couple of the things that you just shared that might not be obvious to our friend that's listening right now, of where this value is. And then I think I just want to move on, and I think you're a very forward-thinking person, and we're going to talk about this book was written in 2014, how things have changed and whatnot, right? So if you'll just kind of bear with me to go over everything that I just learned off of what you just said. First of all, showing your passion for what you do is often an overlooked thing that people want, right? The why behind what you do and the passion behind it, and this idea that you're not just solving a dollars and cents problem, you are evangelizing a new way of doing it and being the change that you want to see.
Yes.
is what I believe, the way that you build a business, right? I'm a big believer in creating a narrative around how the world is right now, the problems you see in it, how the way that it's changing is only going to make the problem worse, and offering a new reality and painting that new reality, right?
Exactly.
And what I heard in your book is essentially you had this inside of you, right?
Yes.
I think that a property manager listening to this right now, there isn't a single person I have spoken to that doesn't say, God, I wish things were like this, right? And putting that out there is going to attract the people that you want to work with. And, just something that I really echoed very deeply with is, I had a very similar insight. As I told you yesterday, I've been on this 10-year chase of how to do community, business development through community creation, which came from my brother's funeral, right? So there's this idea that moments with great pain bring great clarity and can be the fuel that moves you forward, right? So someone that's listening to that kind of thing and taking inspiration, and I think is very important.
Yes.
And then just in how you do it, right? You just described the process that seems extraordinarily manual, but surprisingly easy, right? Your brother prompted you. What are the questions to ask? Your brother prompted you. You came up with the questions. You then came up with the answers, and then you had, 60% of a book ready to go.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. It was just filling the blank spaces.
Fill in the blanks. Yeah. And your book, your book is. It doesn't look like something that you check out of a library, right? But it does look like a book.
Yes,
right?
it's definitely a book.
It's about 100 pages long.
It's registered, and it's
right?
got its own ISN.
And it's a major differentiation point. And what you did, which was a very manual process of doing this, today, our friend that's listening can, very simply go through the same process. Ask a person to ask you all the questions around kind of the right way of doing things that you see it. Interview that. Put that in a transcript, right?
Yes.
Get the video transcribed, pop that into ChatGPT, and say, make this one into chapter 1, make this one into chapter 2, make this one into... So everything that you did that I'm sure was super laborious can now be done much easier.
Yes, and it's what I love about the world we live in today.
Yeah.
So AI, and we were talking about this last night, and I'm about to rewrite that book.
Yes,
I'm adding chapters because the world has changed.
Yeah.
Property management needs to change.
Yeah.
And I loved your session today. And AI is where we need to be, not where we need to go. We need to be there now, today.
Yeah.
If we wait another year, we're already 10 years behind.
Yeah.
So, I was just resonating with everything you were saying. But it's also too, it's how do we articulate that to people? Put it in common words that make sense to them so that we remove the fear that is blocking them from moving forward. Because I feel that it is fear that is stopping this industry from moving forward with AI. And so that needs to be in the book. And I can tell you, as I rewrite the next chapters, and there's quite a bit more to add to it, I will be using a form of AI this time because,
Of course.
that's what it's there for.
Yeah. So how do you see yourself doing it this time going forward?
Yeah, so this time going forward, I will be outlining my knowledge.
Yep.
And then asking the chat GPT
Yeah.
to then write it in my voice,
Yep.
in line with what I've already written,
Correct.
so that there is a flow to it, there's a continuity. It doesn't sound robotic or it's
Yeah.
like unrelatable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, ChatGPT can write in your voice
Yeah.
when they know your voice.
Correct. Especially when you have a whole book to upload into
Exactly,
it. Right?
exactly,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, all right. So that's how you're going to update the book. That's like your mechanics for updating the book. What goes into the update? You said the world has changed since 2014. By the way, spoken like a true coach, right? We have to come over the fear of doing it before you can tell them about it, right?
Yes.
So from 2014 till now, what have you seen the industry has changed into? Where is the industry falling short in adapting to that change? Let's just start there.
Yeah, well, in that time, we've had the introduction of virtual assistants or remote workers, and of course we went through the pandemic. We won't go there yet.
Yeah, that's a wild card.
But the virtual assistants was a big change for the industry. What that created was the opportunity for property managers to be more service orientated, to have more interaction with their clients. But what I've seen is it hasn't really changed. Property managers still want to manage less properties, still want to be paid more, want to do less. So my book is really going to add chapters about how do we do business but deliver better service and results as a result of the opportunities for change.
Tell us now,
and for
Jo,
doing
how
things
do
different.
we do business and deliver better results?
AI. So AI is the big thing.
Yeah.
And we've got to understand AI. We've got to understand that AI isn't replacing humans, it's just making humans do better at what they do. It's helping humans to focus where they need to be, because processes will run the business. And property management, as you know, it's process after process after process, with some admin that is a human touch at the moment. But I think probably 2 years, even that human touch will be gone in that. It'll just be produce a lease, it's done. Like right now, where we're at, we have advanced so far in AI, but the industry has not advanced with it. So we've got a real disconnect there, and there is pressure on profit at the moment as a result of the industry failing to understand AI, to adapt and adopt to AI. And as a result, I believe that the industry risks being irrelevant. They risk losing their relevancy.
Okay, let's unpack that. All right, so let's start with where I completely agree with you, right? Like I think we are, even in my presentation today, I'm talking about how we really are replacing humans in the workforce right now with AI. Companies are doing it, it's really happening, the cat's out of the bag. But the North Star is not to have a fully automated company. The North Star is to be the most human company possible, because AI is going to handle the stuff that anybody could do to put your team in positions where you're doing uniquely human things built for you, right? That's what I'm hearing from you. And I see that happening. We're already doing that on the maintenance side of it, right? Like being able to take 80 to 85% of maintenance off of your plate completely, so that now that 15 to 20% where you really need to like communicate a tough spend, or you got to be there for a tough situation, or you got to talk an owner off of a ledge, off of like selling his house or getting out of the game or changing property managers, you get to be fully present there, fully human as a trusted advisor.
100%.
Relevancy. I think the value prop of AI has officially changed. It used to be this idea of being more efficient, like higher quality of life and stuff like that. Now think about this. Vendoroo is now helping their clients put out these like one-pagers on the maintenance coordination done through AI. And here is how we express the value prop. 24/7, 5-star service. We are now starting to get these like responses, these interactions with residents, talking to the AI like, oh, hey, like my washer dryer is broken, but I'm at work and I won't be home till 10 o'clock. And the AI texting them back like, oh, that's no problem, I'll be here for you. And them just having this profound sense of gratitude of like, really, you're going to be there at 10:30 at night to help me troubleshoot my dryer because that's the only time I can do laundry because I'm, super busy all the time. Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine competing with somebody, right? There's an investor that wants to take his properties or her properties somewhere, and somebody is saying, yeah, cool, listen, we work 9 to 5, we troubleshoot 9 to 6, we have an after hours emergency line that goes to this like outside call center and blah, 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 blah. We'll take care of things in the morning, and maybe there's an extra charge on the weekends, versus somebody that are like, yeah, we're on 24/7. You can call our AI receptionist at any moment if you're a resident, and you're going to get a good response. It's going to help you troubleshoot. It's going to help you schedule things. You're going to feel heard at every hour of the night, every time on the weekend, and you can troubleshoot and be home whenever you need to try to fix something before having to send a vendor out. That's the new value prop. That's what Vendoroo is doing for folks right now. It's creating a competitive advantage. So if you don't have that competitive advantage, I suggest you give it a shot. Go to vendoroo.ai and check it out. That's vendoroo.ai. Schedule a demo. We'd love to show it to you. Talk to me about why you think property management could become irrelevant if they don't get on this.
We're dealing with different mindsets of the property owners. They don't want the old style mother hen property manager who, like cluck, 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 like I'm looking after you and, I've got my eyeballs on your property and yes, love, I'll do this. Yeah. They don't want that sort of language. We're dealing now with a lot of institutional investors. We're dealing with savvy mum and pop investors here. Yeah. They're savvy as well. And we're not giving them the credibility of how savvy they are. So we're being stuck in the past with a lot of this manual stuff. I need to call the owner to discuss the maintenance with them. Then I need to wait for the owner to give me instructions on the maintenance. That's all automated through your management agreement. You've already got instructions from the owner. And maintenance is something that is the most easy part of property management when it's automated. The only reason why maintenance is bogged down is because they're too reactive at the moment. Yeah. They're too hands-on in something they don't understand. Yeah. They then employ a person to be the maintenance coordinator, and I think that's the most redundant position in property management. And sorry, I'm being painfully honest here.
Man, hey, we are eye to eye here, right? No arguments.
And we never used to have maintenance coordinators. It's because property managers started saying, I don't want to do maintenance, taking up all of my day in maintenance. No, there's not really that much maintenance. The work is in the maintenance not being processed effectively, the property manager not being proactive in advising what's going on. Yeah. And let's face it, these days, there is the online portals, the owner and the tenant could go on and just see the status, see what's going on, or just give a tick. So that part of property management is something that they made very difficult, and I think to make themselves relevant and needed, and that is the first part that will be completely automated. I mean, workflows, yes, that's all the tasking, but a service in property management is maintenance. And a lot of owners do not trust property managers because they don't believe that the property managers are getting the best vendor out there or the most cost-effective vendor. So by having it completely transparent through Vendoroo, the owners, that worry is gone. They will trust the process far more quicker than what the property managers will. And we need to adapt very, very quickly in the industry. By bringing in someone like Vendoroo to do the maintenance, that has released pressure on profit because they don't need a person in that role.
You want a job at Vendoroo? No, it's good. So
I'm not being paid for this, by the way.
Well, thank you for illustrating it that way. Our chief property manager, David Norman, says, maintenance is easy, it's managing expectations is hard. And that's kind of where we're headed. And I agree with you in the sense of, my presentation today was around context shifts and how context shifts create this new missing, and the missing can be filled by an innovation in a specific way, and that creates great wealth. You're talking about a really interesting context shift, which is the mass education in everybody's hands, right? The institutional investor and the mom and dad investor are now sitting at this table with the same information and they have it access to their fingertips, and we're still treating them very differently when in reality we should be reconciling that, having those informational tools. You're talking about being more of an asset manager, what Blanket talks about.
Yes.
And definitely. We believe in Blanket a lot, right? I honestly think it's us and Blanket that are the two AI forward companies in this space, right? Yes. I also think that there is another whole breed of this thing that I think is going to happen. To your point, this idea of all this task intensive process and all this mother hen stuff, how you put it, to me is the fact that like the value of the property manager has come from being a task-intensive business. Like you're able to erase tasks off of people's hands, but tasks are the things that AI is going to commoditize completely, right? Like the capacity to do a million things at once, AI wins every single time. And we're moving more, instead of a task-based business, we're moving into a trust-based business. And I think where there's a little bit of daylight in our thesis here is that I do believe we're misclassifying some of these folks and we're treating them like uneducated people when really they just want the facts and they're going to have the dashboard. But what I believe is that the capacity that AI frees up for everybody is now going to allow you to treat each individual person the way that they want to be treated. Like you can truly customize like the things that you can do, right?
Yes, 100%. And I always believe property management is we're the how to their why. And their why is always different. So when we know their why, we will tell them this is how we will help you achieve your why. Now, even though they're slightly different, our how we do it is going to be the same. But the way that we actually communicate with them is in accordance with their goals, their why. So we're all on the same page that way. But right now, we treat all owners the same. And a lot of owners, like some actually might get a lot of service because the property manager for some reason builds this love relationship with them.
Sure.
Or there might be an owner who never hears from their property manager because the property manager just can't stand them.
Yeah.
And it should never happen in business. So the reality is, as we move forward and we use technology and AI to do all of those things in the background, we're going to have really good interfacing customer service property managers who articulate what all the AI and technology is driving. So that's where we get our customer service. And it's going to be really valuable. People will value that knowledge and the interaction where it's confident. It's not like, I don't know, I wasn't here then, so I don't know what went on. All those things.
I love it. You just given me a new lens on this, right? Like I think I've known all along, right? Like what I call the trust-based business, to me, hasn't happened because I don't think we've had the capacity to relate to everybody individually. And now that is the thing that's going to differentiate you. But what you've taught me is what a trust-based business means. And what I'm hearing is that a trust-based business is the ability to not just communicate in the standardized way that you decided to communicate, but the community to contextualize what is happening to the individual why.
Exactly.
And now if you have the capacity to spend time getting to know the why and uniquely understanding it, now the future looks like a really, really emotionally intelligent human workforce that can contextualize the why to the task superpower AI workforce that you have.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's where we need to get. That way, we've got a business that, is profitable.
Yeah.
We've got team who are happy.
Yeah.
They're not there saying, property management is too stressful. I'm hearing that too much in the industry. We've got to stop that chatter because every industry can be stressful. But it's because in property management, we're pushing back on the things that will make us do what we do better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that there's kind of two sides of the industry right now. I read everything and I listen to everything that every property management thought leader puts out. And it's very clear to me that there is a camp that is, it's been very clear to me all along that there's one camp that is looking at what's going on right now and they're trying to bring the past forward. And then there is very few folks that are looking at the future and trying to reverse engineer it, right? That to me is the overall takeaway I wanted everybody to get from my presentation today. That's the way that you need to approach it. But what I've realized now that I've been following it so closely for so long is the reason why. I think that there is a camp in property management right now that is, I guess Brené Brown calls it speaking from the wound. Right? They are disenchanted with what the business looks like right now, and they're speaking from that place. And I think that cohort of advisors are really not doing people a lot of service.
I agree.
Because they're just like, I'm just trying to fix my own pain. And then there's folks that I think are speaking from the scar. Like they've gotten to the other side of it, they've made peace with it, or they love it like you do. Like you're literally the first person that's ever told me that your passion is property management, and that's amazing, right?
Wow.
But like speaking from this place where it's not from a wound and speaking from a place where like you're coming at it as a whole person and looking at it more clearly, to me, that is the type of educator we need because we're headed into like an incredibly abundant future, not a scarce future where we've been.
I think it's magic where we're going. I love it. I think we've got to get out of this fear.
Yeah.
Today it's like we have to have courageous leaders because it's the courageous leaders who will lead us into where property management needs to be. And I think the other thing is we have to have a greater fear of losing clients than our fear of losing team. And when we switch that mindset, then we're servicing the clients. We will do what we need to service and retain clients. And as a result, we're going to bring in the right team because we've got the right technology and AI and processes in place.
Yeah.
So we've got to, the whole like leadership in property management needs to turn around. We've got to be courageous. We've got to stop saying, no, property managers won't like that. Like if they don't, then there's other things that they can do.
The North Star needs to be value creation, not self-preservation.
Yes, exactly.
Right? What I want to know from you is, how do you overcome that fear, right? Like talk to our friend that's listening right now, they believe in what we're saying, but they're still scared. As a coach, how do you help people through that fear?
Yeah, I think if you own a property management business, then what you need to do is you need to understand that AI is just part of industry now. And property management is an industry. You need to learn it. You need to get a coach and specialists in to help you to build your technology stacks and then build your team around your technology, because I can tell you your team will change as a result of technology. And teach your clients the benefits of the technology and the way that you're servicing them. But be courageous. Don't be afraid of this. Don't put it off. You need to do it today. You need to start today, but talk to the people that know, because they're the experts. If you speak to the wrong people, you get the wrong advice. So don't put it off. Get started today and don't fear it. So,
Thanks, Jo. It's been amazing talking to you.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm pumped to continue this relationship, right? Like
I'd love to.
Like we've just met, but to me, what stands out from you is you are clearly coming from an energy, like it might sound like joy, but it is joy, right? Like you're approaching this space from an energy that I feel that is supremely positive in a way that I don't feel from other people. And I find that really inspiring. And the idea that this has all come from a very difficult moment, and that your response to this very difficult moment, the hardest thing possible, is to come at it from a place of joy and abundance, I think is really outstanding, and I'm pumped to continue the relationship.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show today.
All right.
Thanks, Pablo.